So yeah, this morning, I'd like to, or have been myself, kind of exploring, and it's always an exploration, really, but exploring not so much the difference, but the balance between personal effort and faith. So it's an interesting because they're both aspects of the factors of enlightenment, actually, aren't they? So the or the five faculties at least. So that balance between what we can do and what we need to have faith in, as it were, that can do the rest, as it were. So awareness, for example, awareness is always present. It's always there. It's not something we can do, as it were. We can notice it, and therefore, the more we notice it, the more it manifests in experience in terms of curiosity. It brings with it a sort of clarity and expansiveness and interest and concentration. So that will kind of unfold with awareness rather than it's not something we can do. It's a little bit like with even with the dhyana practices, for example. There's always the factors that are there, the five with the jhanas, but with mindfulness, you still got the vitakka and vichara, the initial application and the sustained application. So we can that's the only bit that we can do in a sense. And if we do those fully and with as much commitment as possible without too much effort, the contentment and the concentration or the samadhi, the stability of attention will arise from that. It's that isn't the bit that we do, as it were. That is the result of doing the initial application and the sustained application. Sadhu Tejaniya often says that, which is where I get this from, that the yogi, as in us, the practitioner, can only do three things, and three things only, and that is remember to be aware of the present moment, and continue being aware of the present moment, and remember right view. So the initial attention, the sustained attention, and the awareness that things are arising and passing. And with that, no self or anatta is an aspect of that, as it were. Or you see one, you see them all. If you see dukkha, you see anatta. If you see anatta, you see dukkha and anicca. So the right view is there. And in a sense, these are the only things that we can do. And sometimes we can get caught up into, on some level, assuming that awareness is something that we can do, or the maturing of awareness or the unfolding of awareness is something we can do, and we can't, in a way. That is the element of faith, really, of shraddha, is that we do the application and the awareness does itself, as it were. And having faith that it is there. It's not something we need to work on or embellish or it may be there in a very subtle form. It may be just simply taking in very, very ordinary phenomena that we take for granted, like the movement of a leaf in the background. It's known by awareness, but it's not necessarily noticed by us, as it were. So the mindfulness is something we can do. The awareness is already there. We can just bring in the sampajana, as it, the knowing, the recognizing, the noticing. And unlike the jhana practices, the object is not a single object. So with the mindfulness of breathing, for example, the object is the breath or sensations of the breath. Whereas with this practice, the object is the present moment, which is always changing. So one moment the awareness will be more present in one sense field or another, or may be completely caught up in the mind sense, so mental activity. And that can be noticed, just noticing, where is awareness now? Where is attention now? Where is consciousness manifesting? Which sense door is predominant? Because we'll always be predominantly in seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching, thinking, imagining, feeling, wanting, not wanting. One of those will always be predominant in experience, or ignoring, just not noticing. What we can do is remember when the mind is not very present, to remember, what's happening now? What am I aware? Or hear it, if the mind is very caught up in something, you can just remind yourself, hearing is happening and seeing is happening. And not that you're trying to bring the mind into focus on those things, or select them, as it were. That's just a reminder, and this is happening, and that is happening, and that is happening. And that allows the sampajana, as it were, the mindfulness aspect of awareness to be curious about the very subtle things in awareness. I just noticed in the corner of my eye, my cat's ear twitched. I mean, I didn't do that. It just happened, So it's allowing those aspects of awareness to be included as well, rather than, we can sometimes get, I know I do, get a bit fixated in, mindfulness starts to deepen, and that there's a lovely, there's a sense of loveliness to, or clarity, or what concentration really is, what's starting to arise in that moment, and to then think, that is awareness, that is mindfulness. It's not. That's the fruition of paying attention to the present moment. It's not that isn't what we're doing. That's where awareness starts to manifest or deepen. So it's a fruit of that little bit that we can do, and then awareness takes over, as it were, and we can tend to think, that's awareness, that's mindfulness. It is, because that can also be noticed, because what you want to then do is still to notice that is happening, because it is just happening. It's not being done by me, by oneself, as it were. We can only do those three things, to notice the present moment, continue noticing the present moment, and notice that it's changing. It's quite simple, really, and yet, of course, it's extremely subtle, because the mind is not, our habits are not subtle. They can be very demanding and very loud. So I'll just put the link for Dana up if you could remember to, you could remember that, that would be great. I'll put it up in the chat. Just it'll be there later, so you don't need to do it now, but come back to it later. Okay, so we'll sit for